Hello and welcome guys to Reception. This video is all about the ICSE 2021 History and Civics Board question paper. In this video, we will discuss the question paper pattern of History and Civics Board question paper, and we will also discuss a few tips using which you can maximize your score in this particular subject. So watch this video till the end, and if you like it, do hit the thumbs up button. Share this video with your friends and subscribe to our channel Eduception. Without further ado, let's begin. Let's begin with the question paper pattern. ICSE 2021 History and Civics. Now, in this video, we are not covering the reduced syllabus of History and Civics because it would have taken a lot of time, and the reduced syllabus was released by the council quite a while back. So I hope all of you know the reduced syllabus of History and Civics. Anyways, I'll put a link in the description box below from where you can check the reduced syllabus. Talking about the question paper pattern, History and Civics paper will be of 80 marks and you will get 2 hours to solve the whole thing. You will also get 15 minutes to read the question paper before you start writing. So 2 hours writing time and 15 minutes reading time. The question paper is divided into 2 parts. Part 1, 30 marks, short question answers. Part 2, 50 marks, long question answers. Let's begin with part 1. Part 1, 30 marks. This is a compulsory part and you will have to attempt all the questions over here. You will get question 1 and question 2. Question 1 will be from Civics and it will have 10 subparts of 1 mark each to give you 10 into 1, 10 marks. Question 2 will be from History and Contemporary World. It will have 10 subparts of 2 marks each to give you 10 into 2, 20 marks. Now over here, out of the 10 subparts, generally 6 subparts are from History and 4 subparts are from Contemporary World. Like I told you, in part 1, you will have to write all the answers because it is a compulsory part and you will face short question answers over here. Moving on to part 2. Part 2, 50 marks. Part 2 is divided into 2 sections. Section A for Civics, which is of 20 marks, and Section B for History and Contemporary World, which is of 30 marks. Now, in Section A for Civics, you will get 3 questions. All the 3 questions will be from Civics. Out of these 3 questions, you will have to attempt any 2. All the questions are of 10 marks each, so 10 into 2 will give you 20 marks. What is the subdivision? For each question, the subdivision will be A, 3 marks, B, 3 marks, and C, 4 marks. Simple. Moving on to Section B. In Section B, you will get questions from History and Contemporary World. This is a 30 marks section. You will get a total of 5 questions. Question 6, Question 7, Question 8, Question 9, and Question 10. Out of these 5 questions, you will have to attempt any 3. So 3 into 10 gives you 30 marks. The subdivision is same. You will have subpart A for 3 marks, subpart B for 3 marks, and subpart C for 4 marks. So 3 plus 3 plus 4 gives you 10 marks. So any 3 out of the 5 questions that you get in Section B. Over here, 3 questions will be from History and 2 questions will be from Contemporary World. And as I told you, in part 2, you will face long question and answers. So guys, that was all regarding the question paper pattern for the ICSE 2021 History and Civics Board paper. Now we will move on to a few tips using which you can prepare and maximize your score for this particular examination. Moving on to tips using which you can maximize your score and prepare for History and Civics. First, let's discuss a few tips that you can follow while writing the examination to maximize your score. I have already told you that the question paper of History and Civics will be divided in 2 parts. Part 1, for short question and answers, and part 2 for long question and answers. How you should answer the questions in part 1 and part 2, that is your first tip. Let's begin with part 1. In part 1, you will face short question and answers. You should write the answers precise and to the point for part 1. You don't have to beat around the bush and exaggerate any answer for part 1. Write precise and to the point answers and you can easily score 30 out of 30 in part 1. It will help you to save your time and it will also help the examiner to save his or her time. So write precise and to the point answers in part 1. Say for example you are asked write the term of Lok Sabha. So simply write the term of Lok Sabha is 5 years. Anything extra is not required in part 1. Moving on to part 2, the long question and answers part. In part 2, you will have to write a little long answers. And how to write those? It is best that you write all the answers in part 2 in a point-wise format. Do not write big paragraphs. Say for example, you are writing a question for 3 marks. So for that question, write 3 to 4 points and it will be sufficient. It will help you to bring out your points clearly and it will also help the examiner to understand all the points that you have put forward. So it is best to write point-wise answers in part 2. For 3 marks questions, you can write 3 to 4 points and for 4 marks questions, you can write 4 to 5 points. That will be sufficient. Do not write big paragraph answers. So guys, that was the first tip on how you should answer the questions from part 1 and part 2. Now we will move on to the next tip. Moving on to tips that you can follow while preparing for the history and civics examination to maximize your score. The first thing with the preparation of history and civics is reading and writing. Reading entire chapters thoroughly and writing the important topics of those chapters becomes very important to grasp the points and to remember those points. So while preparing for the examination, try to read all the chapters thoroughly. That means the chapters that are left in your syllabus, and write all the important topics of those chapters. That will help you to grasp those topics properly and you will also be able to remember those topics so that you can write them easily in your examination. The next thing is remembering key topics. What are key topics in history and civics? Now, things like the term of Lok Sabha, the term of Rajya Sabha, the qualifications required for Lok Sabha, the qualifications required for Rajya Sabha, the qualifications required to become a judge of the Supreme Court, the term of the President of India. In history, questions like who started the Khilafat movement, who founded Indian National Congress, and questions of these sort are key topics. You have to remember all the key topics from all over your syllabus. How to prepare for these key topics? First of all, I told you reading and writing is important. Secondly, you can go through the past 10 years question papers of history and civics board examination to know about the key topics. Majority of the key topics you will find in part 1. And let me tell you over here once more that in part 1, the short question and answers part, you will get majority of the questions from the key topics that I just mentioned. So preparing that is very important. Now, coming to big questions in part 2 that are asked in part 2. For example, the events. There are many events in your syllabus that are still left. The First War of Independence, the Civil Disobedience Movement, the Non-Corporation Movement, First World War, Second World War. Now, for all these events, there are 3 important things to remember. First of all, the causes that lead to these events. Secondly, the event itself. And thirdly, the effects of these events. So you have to remember all these 3 things for all the major events that are present in your syllabus. Moving on to the next point. In part 2, section B or section A also, in part 2, you will get one picture question. That means there will be a picture and on the basis of that picture, you will have to answer the questions. So it is very important that you study all the pictures properly while you are reading the chapters and writing the important topics. So go through all the pictures properly. Next come individuals and personalities. Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, Dadabhai Nehru, Lal Bal Pal, Mussolini, Hitler. All these personalities are very important. Try to remember all the achievements and contributions of all the personalities that are in your syllabus, because questions from those will be definitely asked. Also try to remember a few books they have written, the organizations they have started. So those are also very important. Now, I think I have covered all the points that I have mentioned in my sheet. If you guys have any other points, you can mention it in the comment section below for others to know. So guys, that was all regarding the question paper pattern and the tips for preparation and maximizing your score for the ICSE 2021 History and Civics Board Examination. I wish you all the best for this examination, and I know you all will do great. So all the best, take care and good luck.